Greetings, welcome to Facts About Everything. I'm your host, James Egan. Jack Nicholson plays R.P. McMurphy in a 1975 film, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He plays a criminal who pleads insanity to get out of trouble and is put into a mental institution. Although it is considered to be his greatest performance, Nicholson didn't think he was very good in it. He was intimidated, not just by the other actors, but by the extras with no dialogue, because they seemed to stay in character even when the cameras weren't rolling. He had no idea that most of the minor characters were played by real mental patients. And that is the first fact about Jack Nicholson. Let's dive in. John Jack Joseph Nicholson was 37 years old when he found out that the woman he believed was his sister was his mother, and the woman he believed was his mother was his grandmother. That's so bizarre that that's quite a well-known fact about Jack Nicholson, but a lot of people don't know. Jack Nicholson said it was in that moment that he learned the greatest technique to be an actor. You see, he was looking at this woman who he believed was his sister, and then in an instant, looked at her as his mother. And he uses that in his acting. He'll just talk to one of his friends, and then when the cameras roll, they're instantly a guy he hates, or his brother, or his son, or his dad, which is pretty cool. Traumatizing, but cool. He's known Danny DeVito since he was a child. Their families ran a hair salon together. Both actors appeared in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Another weird thing is Danny DeVito and Jack Nicholson have both played Batman villains. Jack Nicholson was paid $60 million to play the Joker in the 1989 film Batman. I already did a whole video about Batman. I'll leave a link at the end of this video if you want to check that out. He flew to Cuba in 1998 and met Fidel Castro. He was nominated for an acting Oscar in 5 different decades, and he's won 3 times. He's been nominated more than any other male actor ever. He's directed 3 films. Drive, he said, Going South, and The Two Jakes. The Two Jakes is a sequel to Chinatown. He directed the movie The Terror for one day, but that doesn't count. His favorite role is the Joker. He said it was like playing a psychotic version of Bugs Bunny. He loves wrestling and is a big fan of Ric Flair and John Cena. He said he wanted to set up his own wrestling promotion if he could get Jim Carrey, Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, and Robert Downey Jr. involved. Doesn't really make any sense, but it's Jack Nicholson, so. Jack Nicholson turned down the role of Johnny Hooker in The Sting. The role went to Robert Redford. He also turned down the lead role in Once Upon a Time in America. The role went to Robert De Niro. Nicholson also turned down the role of Bill in Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. In the 1974 film Chinatown, there's a scene where John Huston says, "Do you sleep with my daughter?" to Jack Nicholson's character. By a freakish coincidence, Nicholson had just started a relationship with John's daughter, Angelica Huston. Jack Nicholson kept being late while filming Chinatown because he was watching sports on TV. The director, Roman Polanski, put an end to it when he broke the TV with a mop. Despite the fact Chinatown has one of the most famous endings of all time, Jack Nicholson hates it. Jack Nicholson plays Frank Costello in the 2006 film The Departed. I know it's Costello in America, but I'm Irish, we call it Costello, just let me have this. The part was much smaller before Nicholson was cast. Nicholson improvised most of the scenes, which many people found hilarious, so they just kept him in. The main example is when he pulls out a gun while confronting Leonardo DiCaprio's character. That wasn't in the script. Nobody knew he was going to do that, not even the director. Many people believe that Jack Nicholson's first role was in the 1960 film The Little Shop of Horrors. This isn't true. He appeared 2 years prior in The Crybaby Killer.
Well, Carol was a swell girl until Manny got his hands on her.
You mean until she wanted Manny's hands on her?
In Easy Rider, Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper, and Jack Nicholson are actually smoking marijuana in the weed scene. However, some sources saying they were actually dropping acid in the LSD scene, but this is not true. The reason why they actually took marijuana is because the director, Dennis Hopper, thought it'd be funny for Jack Nicholson to be completely off his head while doing the UFO speech. However, everyone was really surprised. Despite the fact Jack Nicholson was completely stoned, he managed to stick to the script and said nearly all his dialogue without any mistakes.
UFO beaming back at you. Me and Eric Heisman was down in Mexico 2 weeks ago. We seen 40 of them flying in formation.
Also, in case you're wondering, because I know you are, throughout the film, the 3 lead actors went through 155 joints. At the time of this video, the last film that he's worked on is How Do You Know, which came out in 2010. Because he hasn't appeared in a film in many, many years, there was a rumor that Jack Nicholson was having memory problems. Jack Nicholson said this isn't true. He said he's just taking it easy. He won an Oscar for Terms of Endearment and As Good As It Gets. Simpsons writer James L. Brooks cast him in both roles. One of Jack Nicholson's most famous roles is Colonel Jessup in A Few Good Men. Despite the fact his character appears throughout the entire film, he only worked on the movie for 10 days. More bizarre, he was paid $500,000 per day. Jack Nicholson's most famous line is often misquoted. When referring to his character in A Few Good Men, most people think he says, "You want the truth? You can't handle the truth." They probably think it's because it's been parodied so many times.
You want the truth? You can't handle the truth!
You want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
He doesn't say the first part, he only says the second line.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
In Tim Burton's Mars Attack, Jack Nicholson plays the president and Art Land. Tim Burton was told by the producers that Jack Nicholson's character was not allowed to die, which is kind of weird because Tim Burton already killed him off as a Joker in Batman. The funny thing is, Jack Nicholson was only supposed to play the president, but Tim Burton, probably out of spite, cast him in 2 roles and had both characters die. Jack Nicholson plays Melvin Udall in the 1997 film As Good as It Gets. Udall has OCD, so he has to do everything a certain way, obsessed with cleanliness, and a typical ritual that OCD sufferers have. He has to dodge the cracks in the sidewalk. When he won the Oscar, Jack Nicholson collected his award by carefully walking over the cracks between the tiles on stage as a reference to his character. Jack Nicholson comes across as a guy who just doesn't care what other people think about him, and he just does his own thing and tries to have fun. But he was really insecure no one would like As Good as It Gets. He felt like Udall was the most horrible character ever. You do remember you played the Joker, don't you? After seeing the movie, Nicholson thought Melvin Udall was the most lovable character he ever played.
Well, we're all gonna die soon. I will, you will, and it sure sounds like your son will.
Hey, lovable character! As of 2019, Jack Nicholson is worth $400 million. He worked with Morgan Freeman in The Bucket List. Both characters had to be bald for some scenes. It's pretty standard in most films when a character has to be bald, they just wear a bald cap, which is exactly what Morgan Freeman did. But Jack Nicholson genuinely shaved his head, and he was rocking the look that year during the Oscars. He plays Jack Torrance in The Shining. It was Nicholson's idea to throw around the tennis ball. In the original script, it just said, Jack is not working. I won't be covering many facts about The Shining because I already did an entire video about it, but I'll leave a link at the end of this video if you want to check that out. Jack Nicholson was actually really annoyed about how The Shining was received by critics, since Stanley Kubrick seemed to get all the credit. Jack Nicholson said it was one of the hardest films he ever worked on, and he believed Shelley Duvall, who played his wife, played the hardest character he's ever seen in a movie, and believed she should have got most of the credit for the film's success. He won a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Drama for the 2002 film About Schmidt. When he won the award, he said, "I'm a little surprised. I thought we made a comedy." The film Batman and Robin was so bad that the entire Batman series had to be rebooted into Batman Begins. The sequel for Batman and Robin was supposed to be Batman Triumphant, where Batman fights the Scarecrow. As has been depicted in Batman Begins, the Scarecrow uses fear gas to make his victims hallucinate. If this film was made, Jack Nicholson would have reprised the role of the Joker. He would have appeared in one of Bruce Wayne's hallucinations. Jack Nicholson plays Jimmy Hoffa in the film Hoffa. One day as Jack Nicholson was leaving his makeup trailer, he happened to bump into Jimmy Hoffa Jr. As soon as he saw Jack Nicholson, he instantly started crying and said, "That's my dad." He used to be a messenger boy for MGM's cartoon department. It's not a secret that Jack Nicholson has an anger management problem. He made a movie about it. In A Fit of Rage in 1994, he bashed up a man's car window with a golf club. Each of the films he won an Oscar for also won for Best Actress. Louis Fletcher won for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Shirley MacLaine won for Terms of Endearment, and Helen Hunt won for As Good as It Gets. Nobody knows for certain who Jack Nicholson's father is, but according to his biography, Jack's Life, it might be a Latvian called Eddie King. Despite the fact he has a reputation of being crazy, he does really try to behave when he meets fans, because he says, "If you meet me, I'm probably not going to remember you, but whatever I say to you, you'll never forget it." For some reason, while shooting the fishing scene in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, every single actor got seasick, except Jack Nicholson. While shooting the slap scene in Chinatown, they couldn't make it look right, so the actress Angelica Houston told Jack Nicholson to just slap her for real. This is a shot used for the final cut. When Jack Nicholson was asked what advice would he give people, he said, "I don't give advice, nobody takes it." And finally, Jack Nicholson comes across as a guy who's not scared of anybody or anything. But everyone has a weakness, and there is one person Jack Nicholson is absolutely petrified of. Hunter S. Thompson. Best known for writing Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, also best known for being an utter lunatic. I mean, Hunter Thompson did once shoot his assistant with a shotgun, for some reason. I don't even know why. Hunter S. Thompson thought it'd be funny if he pranked Jack Nicholson on his birthday by shining a spotlight on his house while blasting out a recording of a pig being eaten by bears. And you think to yourself, oh, that's pretty messed up, that'll scare anybody. But here's the thing. That was 1/3 of the prank. Thompson also left a elk's heart on Nicholson's front door. Then he fired a gun in the air. Nicholson hid in the basement with his 2 daughters petrified out of his mind. Moral of the story, never be friends with Hunter S. Thompson. To learn more facts, check out my books on Amazon. They're available on paperback and Kindle. Thanks for watching. See you again.